So we're looking for leaders who can handle more than one child, but we're also looking for people just willing to show up and listen to young kids share their verses. So it's pretty awesome. September 9th, Children's Church begins again. If you're interested in joining the fun by doing a little acting, puppeteering, teaching, or being a helper, just let the office know and we're going to get you plugged in. So we're going to skip some of the other stuff. We're going to go to the prayer time now. Actually, no, let's first cover the other side. Announcement. Grunthal Refugee Sponsorship Group is excited to announce a 24 hours in a refugee camp. That's September 21st to the 22nd at the Hanover Ag Grounds. Participants will raise funds to spend 24 hours in their camp. I'm going to let you read the rest. I did it last year. I've been told I'm doing it again this year. And it is a ton of fun. You show up with a very little bit of stuff, and if you've raised some money, you can get a little bit extra, but they actually show you a little bit about what people go through in a refugee camp. It is an awesome experience. Congratulations to Travis and Michelle on their new baby girl, and I do not think they are here this morning. Are they here this morning? No? Well, congratulations on their baby girl. Eloise, if I said that right, come out to welcome this new baby and shower her and her mom with love and gifts. There's going to be a baby shower September 24th at 7 p.m. Contribution to the group. Gifts can be given to Brianne or Leanne or put in the shower box, and I don't think Brianne or Leanne are here this morning. But the shower box is in the back. Thank you, Wanda. Also, we're looking for Discovery Time teachers, so please make sure to read that. To Africa with Love, check out the To Africa with Love Facebook page, the website, and learn how you can contribute. They've had an awesome week of getting extra stuff. And don't forget, you can get 2 tickets for $15 to win a trip anywhere you want to go, up to $4,000, and you can see anybody on the committee for that as well. Whew, that's a lot of announcements this morning. So with those announcements being said, we're going to get to prayer. And so let's start with all of the prayer that we have here. We've got Darren Whip. It says he covets our continued prayer. He's a young man who dove off the dock and broke his neck, and he's paralyzed. He's just started to be able to gain a little bit of movement in one of his arms. The other arm, a little tiny bit. I visit him every single week. He has an incredible attitude, and we're going to believe that he's going to get better. Darrell Wheeler has had successful surgery on Thursday. The doctors have told him that he will begin chemotherapy in approximately 4 weeks. We can pray for him as well. Desiree Pluman had her kidney stone procedure on Friday, and she is feeling awesome. That's what I was told. She's feeling awesome. And I was told this morning, you'll notice that our second row here, that's normally quite full with the Vosses, is not here. Vim got a bad fever yesterday and was rushed to the hospital, and his heart rate's been going really high and really low. Actually, they told me this morning there was one time they had 7 nurses trying to work on him at one time, or 9 nurses or something. It was pretty bad this morning, just with some heart issues and some fever issues. So if we could remember to pray for them. They're in Steinbach today, so just remember them in your prayers as well. Is there any other prayer requests that we're missing? Prayer requests. All right, let's pray. God, you are so awesome, and I love you so much. And when we are hurting, when we are down in the dumps, when life is just miserable, God, we know that you can pick us up, that you give us love and joy and peace when we simply turn our eyes to you. And there's so many people out there who just are hurting this morning. We just want to pray that you heal them, but you also just let them feel loved by your presence, but also by our presence, being there with them and visiting them and helping them and encouraging them, God. God, I want to pray for this service. We know how I get distracted and carried away. Pray that people would hear what you would have them hear this morning. We love you, God, and we just want to pray for a great service this morning. In your name, amen. Amen. Well, a couple weeks ago, I went on holidays with my kids, and we had an awesome, awesome time. I actually have a slide for that. Let's throw the first slide up there. There we go. It's me with my kids fishing, tubing, Ryan's dancing, we're quadding. And I want to brag on my kids a little bit. A couple weeks ago, we were at the cabin, and I was just sitting there watching them play in the pond. And they were carrying styrofoam, that was the floaty styrofoam around. And I'm like, what are these kids doing? And I kind of come down closer to the water, and they're playing a game where one of them is the bad guy or a shark, because kids play bad guys or sharks, and the other one is throwing Bibles onto the tube. styrofoam. And they were smuggling Bibles from one side of the pond to the other to the people who really needed them on the other side. And I didn't start the game. My kids just decided that they thought it would be cool to bring Bibles to people. And I thought, man, that's really neat. My kids are awesome. Right, guys? You guys are pretty awesome. So we went camping. And so it says, what preachers do when there are no people. So we went camping. We had a great time. While we're sitting there, we just made popcorn. And my kids are a bit messy, and they spill popcorn everywhere. And I don't know why the squirrel came to my foot. Maybe I was a bit messy too. But anyways, so here's what preachers do and little kids do when there's nobody around. So the Action Bible. So I just made a dialogue because this is what me and my kids do when we're on holidays. It says, what's this? The greatest story ever. Grab some popcorn and let me tell you about it. Next slide. Okay, so you can't see it really well, but it says, Barabbas, release Barabbas, crucify Jesus. So he's reading the book. It says, what? Why would they let a bad man go and crucify Jesus? What is wrong with these people? Preacher, don't worry. He knew this would happen and he chose to come anyways. Next slide. Oh, and then he's crying. You can see he's crying a little bit there. See how big his eyes are? No, they killed him. So the preacher says, oh, or he gave his life. That's how much we are loved. And wait. Last slide. Okay, so this is a story about him rising from the dead. We literally turned the page and the squirrel would come and go like this and eat his popcorn. So then, what? Oh, that's not supposed to be a one. It's supposed to be an exclamation mark. He rose again. Praise the Lord. That's right. God conquered death, and we know that one day we'll get to go to heaven if we love and follow him. Anyways, that's just a funny little thing my kids came up with as we were playing with a squirrel at our campsite. And I'm mostly saying that just to brag on my kids. My kids just have a real heart for God, and everywhere we go, they like to do that. Actually, I sometimes feel like I'm a bad parent because my kids have to actually, when I forget to do the Bible story in the evening, my kids are like, Dad, you forgot to do the Bible today. So they just love that. And so I've been blessed with some pretty awesome kids. So this morning, as I've been bragging on my kids, I want us to brag on each other a little bit this morning. So here's what I've got. For those of you who are visiting, this is the summer of chocolate. I promised the kids, because normally we have children's church. If you're visiting, normally we have children's church right now, and they're off having fun, but there's no children's church in summer. And so to bribe them to be happy, I have brought candy every single week. So we have chocolate today. I've only got 30 well, there was 30 chocolates. There's about 30 chocolates. And so here's what we're going to do this morning. This morning we're talking about watching what we say and the importance of speaking life and speaking positively and not tearing other people down. So in order to get your chocolate, you got to come up here and you're going to have to say something. Do we have a mic up here? Yeah, there we go. We got a mic up here. You're going to have to come up here and say something. So it'll start one of two ways. It'll be, did you hear? Because that's how gossip always starts, right? Did you hear? But then you have to say something awesome. Like I did with my kids. Like, did you hear about Tendai and Ryan? They went camping and tried to lead a squirrel to Jesus because they love God so much. And then I, of course, get my candy. Okay? Or we could just say, so it's either did you hear, but it has to be something awesome about them. Or you can say, so-and-so is awesome, and then, say why they're awesome, right? So Heather is so awesome because she married me. And she stayed married to me. Okay? Or you could come up and say, your brother is so awesome because he helps me with something. Or you could come up and you could say, man, isn't Nathan awesome? That guy is just so full of energy and he sings. And didn't he do a great job with that Lighthouse song this morning? Man, that guy is awesome. I'm taking another chocolate for that one, by the way. So here's how it's going to work this morning. I want to give away some chocolate, but we got to tell each other how awesome we are. So you're going to come up, and for every, let's say 3 kids or 4 kids who says something, the first 4 kids, they get chocolate, they get chocolate, they get chocolate, they get chocolate, and then we're going to stop. No, because there's nothing to bribe the parents because they're like, I don't want chocolate. So once 3 or 4 kids get chocolate, the chocolate is done unless an adult stands up and does the same sort of thing. So for every 3 kids, there's got to be an adult. And if the adults decide not to be awesome today, then the kids don't get chocolate. So I started, so I did something nice. So now 3 more people get to come. So if the first 3 people who want chocolate, you got to come up and say somebody is awesome, and then why they're awesome. We got 1, 2, 3. Okay, You can all come up. That'll guilt the parents into being really nice. Okay, go ahead.
My dad is awesome
Why am I awesome?
because you bring us to camp.
Yeah, okay, there we go. Thank you. That's super nice of you. Grab a candy.
My mom and dad are awesome because they love me.
That's right. Grab yourself. I said this guy was next. There we go. Who's awesome and why are they awesome?
Ronnie is awesome
Why?
because it's my brother.
That's good enough for me. That's all. You can pick whatever one you want. Okay, stop. Do you guys want candy? Are you sure? Okay, well, let's give like a really sad look to our parents. Wait for an adult to stand up and say somebody who's awesome and why they're awesome. We got two adults here. They're both going to get to do it. We're going to start with this. We're going to start with the ladies first, okay? Somebody's awesome and why?
I think Tim Nichols is pretty awesome.
Who?
Tim Nichol.
Tim Nichol is awesome. Okay, why is Tim Nichol awesome?
Well, I had a flat tire today, and he came to St. Malo and picked me up for church.
Awesome.
My mom is awesome. She makes me food.
Yeah, that's right. Moms are always awesome because they make us food. Okay, yeah, you can grab your chocolate too. All right, who's next?
My mom is awesome because she makes awesome food.
Awesome food. The moms make awesome food. Who's next?
My brother's awesome because he's the only brother I have.
That's enough. You can be awesome just by being the one who's left, who's available. There we go. Who's awesome?
My mom's awesome because she's having a baby.
Because she's having a baby. That does something. Go ahead, grab a chocolate. All right, keep going. Let's just keep going.
My sister is awesome because she helps me.
Very good. Who's next?
My mother.
That's okay. His mom is awesome. There we go. Your mom's awesome. Which one do you want? There you go.
My sister is awesome because she helps me with the laundry.
Because she helps you with the laundry. Very good. This one looks a little bit shy. We'll let her go right away.
My Peppa's awesome because she gives me candy.
Because he gives you, well, then I'm going to be awesome too and give you candy. What candy do you want? There we go. Okay, we need an adult now. We're going to pause for an adult. Is there an adult who wants to praise somebody? Go ahead. Well, thank you very much. God is awesome.
My dad's awesome because he cleans cars.
Because he cleans cars. That doesn't make him awesome. All right, grab some chocolate.
Tenda is awesome because she helps me.
She does help you. Go ahead, grab some chocolate.
My three sisters are awesome because they're nice.
All right. We need another adult. Go ahead, grab some. We need an adult who's going to say somebody is awesome. Uh-oh, guys, you guys don't get chocolate. Aww. That is awesome. You are lucky. You're going to get to say somebody else is awesome.
My baby sister is awesome because she's funny.
All right, grab some chocolate.
God's awesome because he created us.
That is right. God is pretty awesome. Go ahead. You can take the mic.
My dad is awesome because he fixes my car all the time.
Your dad is awesome. There we go. You can grab a second one, too. All right. I think everybody who's wanted candy gets candy. Did I miss anybody? You don't even need a mic. Just stand up and say who's awesome, and then I will give you candy. You sure? Candy's just going to sit here all alone. All right. Yeah, I got all the candy that I wanted. So, this morning we're going to talk about watching our words and what we say to one another. And we are going through the 10 Commandments, and today we are on the last one. And so I've titled my message this morning, Motives. Watch your tongue. So here's what we're going to do. Again, for those who are visiting, we always read the commandment in the Old Testament. We look at what it meant in the Old Testament, and then how do we apply that to our lives today as we are no longer in the Old Testament. So, the letter of the law. Exodus 20, verse 16. This is a command in the Ten Commandments. You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. Exodus 20:16. Do not give false testimony against your neighbor. What does that mean? Well, growing up, I was told don't lie. It means don't lie. Well, yeah, it sort of means don't lie, but is that actually what it says? It says don't give false testimony. Well, what does that look like? Well, in the Old Testament, they didn't have CSI. Anybody know what CSI, crime scene investigation? They didn't do CSI. There was no Jerusalem CSI or Bethlehem CSI. Even later, there was no Rome CSI. So if you did something bad, you normally got caught because people told on you. It's a little bit like our family sometimes, right? If you get caught, it's because somebody told on you. And so what they would do is, let's say I had a cow. And when that cow was born, I made a little notch in its ear. And I knew the notch in the ear, that meant that it was a rick cow. And somebody stole my cow. And so I'd get some witnesses saying, and I'd say, that's my cow. And they'd say, well, how do you know? Well, I got 3 witnesses who've all said they know that's what I do to my cows to mark my cows. And then I get another witness that says that guy was sneaking out late at night around my house. Now I go to court and I say, look, I got 3 or 4 witnesses. So that's what it meant to give false testimony. It was talking about in court, because their court was basically just about giving testimony. And so it would really suck if all of a sudden somebody lied about you. They were like, you stole that cow. You're like, oh, that's my cow. That's my cow. No, you stole it. And then you went to jail or something because somebody lied about you. So God says, don't lie about other people in court. And it's interesting, a little bit later, Exodus 23, verse 1, it also says you should not protect somebody who did something wrong by lying about them so they don't get in trouble. So, number one, we shouldn't lie to keep people from getting in trouble just because we like them. If they did something bad, we shouldn't lie about it. And we shouldn't lie to get somebody who's nice. We shouldn't lie about them to get them in trouble. We shouldn't even lie if we know somebody did something wrong. We didn't see it, but we know they're guilty, so we just lie about it. Okay? So that's the letter of the law. Don't do that. But I'm not going to make you raise your hands because that might be awkward. About who here has ever had to go to court and make a statement, so we're not going to make you raise your hand. But I bet it's not a huge amount of our population here. Most of you are probably like, oh, we're talking about going to court today. Now, some of you I know are going to have to use some of this information, but others aren't going to have to. I think the majority are not going to have to. And so how do we apply this to our lives today? Well, first of all, I actually missed some of my verses here. As a matter of fact, we're going to look at we looked at the letter of the law, now we're going to look at the heart of the law. But we have to remember something. In the Old Testament, if you lied, somebody could actually be put to death, because they would even use witnesses in capital cases. Capital cases are like death penalty cases. And even then, the court would decide based on witnesses. Imagine that. And so you read that in Deuteronomy 17, verse 6. It says, on testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses, a person is to be put to death. But no one's to be put to death on the testimony of only 1 witness. Oh, my word. That is scary. Be like, no, where's the evidence? Oh, I got evidence here, 3 people. And hopefully nobody lied about it. But what is the heart of this law? Well, the Old Covenant was a covenant of laws, of rules, of regulations. And the New Covenant is a covenant of grace. But here's the interesting thing. When Jesus made the New Covenant, he always expected more than the Old Covenant. You see, the Old Covenant, what it said, do not murder. But the New Covenant, the new contract that we got with Jesus when he died on the cross, he says, I want you not to murder people because that's not neighborly. But I also want you not to hate people and not to be angry with people, to forgive people. And he said, do not commit adultery. But I also want you not to be lusting after other people. And the same thing is true about this commandment. I think there's something more to the command. And I think that this command can be broken down into 2 sections. Do not lie about other people. Really, you could say do not lie, but in the focus of what we're talking about, it's do not lie about other people. And do not slander, which essentially is pretty much the same thing. Do not lie about other people. Do not gossip about other people. So lying, as we all know, is saying something that is not true. Fair enough? Lying is saying something that is not true. My dad actually would go further when I was growing up. he would say lying is, there's also something he called the lie of omission. What that means is omission is to not include. There's the lie of keeping your mouth shut to protect your own bottom. Okay, I say protect your own bottom because I grew up in an era where you still got spankings. So you would hide the truth. You would hide the truth to protect your bottom. Okay? And so he'd say, that's a lie too. Who broke this? Who broke this? Yeah, Dad, who broke that? Who broke? I broke it. Like, I know who broke it. But if I just word it the right way, don't quite say, yeah, Dad, it was me. Be like, yeah, Dad, that is broken, isn't it? And he's like, yeah, who broke it? I'd be like, I wonder who broke it. Who broke this? You should ask Kendall. Okay? You should, and everyone knew Kendall must have broken it then, right? But I'm not lying when I said you should ask Kendall. Maybe Kendall would tell on me, right? Well, I am lying because I'm hiding the truth. Anytime we are deceptive, anytime we are dishonest, we are lying. And so we need to be careful that we are not deceptive, we are not lying, especially in the context of what we're talking about, to hurt other people. Number 2, do not slander or gossip. Speaking something about somebody else with the goal of hurting them. So those are the 2 things we're going to look at this morning. Do not lie and do not slander. Do not give false testimony about your neighbor. False testimony. The command was not to lie in court, and yet in the New Testament, the expectation is so much greater. Colossians 3:8-9. But now you must also rid yourself of all such things as these: anger, rage, malice, slander, and filthy language from your lips. Do not lie to each other, since you have taken off your old self with its practices. Do not lie. Not just in court, just do not lie. Okay? Revelation 21:8. When I was a teenager, I had a funny song about this. I'm not going to sing it. But Revelations 21:8. And Revelation 21:8 is talking about all the sins. It says, here are the people who will not inherit the kingdom of God. It says oh, murderers and adulterers and thieves. And then it throws in liars. And you're like, seriously? Luckily, all of those people can still make it to heaven if they accept Jesus as their Savior and they repent of their sins. So it's not any, but the reality is Jesus includes it. God includes it with all the other sins. Do not lie. Be honest. Be people who are people of integrity. So that's pretty simple. I'm not even going to go in depth into that. I think you guys know we're not actually talking about lying. We're talking about lying about somebody. And so we're going to keep moving. We're going to talk about, so what is lying when you lie about somebody else? What does that mean? If I lie about somebody else, it's called slander. It's called, actually, in the court of law, you can actually be convicted. You can actually be sued for slander. I know people who've had to sue people for slander simply to protect themselves. I know somebody who had to sue somebody for slander because people were posting horrible lies about them online. And you sue for slander so that they have to take those things off. Slander is illegal. And yet we do it all the time. Do not make false statements about people that will tear them down at all. Not just in court, at all. We need to be careful what comes out of our mouth, because so often when we are visiting, when we are chatting, it feels good to make other people look bad. And it does. It feels good to make other people look bad sometimes, because it makes me feel like I'm a better person. Because if I can point out all the things about other people and stretch the truth just a little bit, so that everyone goes, oh my word, that guy is not that good. I'm like, but I would never be that person, because I am perfect. And if I'm not perfect, I got to quickly make myself look perfect by making somebody else look like garbage. That's just the way it works. And so we slander people. Now, nobody here slanders anybody, of course, but maybe you know somebody who needs this lesson, and so I'm letting you pass that on. So do not slander. Do not speak bad about other people. The Bible says in Matthew 15:19-20, for out of the heart comes evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual immorality, theft, false testimony, and slander. These are what defile a person, but eating with unwashed hands does not defile him. You'll notice here that it puts some things together. Remember the command in the 10 Commandments, do not commit adultery. And then it says, and do not be sexually immoral. So in the New Testament, it shows you where they're connected. And in the Old Testament, it says, do not give false testimony. But now right away in the same verse, it says, and do not slander. It's amazing. It links them for us, so we don't have to think too hard. You know what? It's the same thing. It's the same heart that we're going against when we speak badly about other people. And so that's the one thing. Do not lie about other people. But most of us here, we're amazing people, and we would say, I would never lie about other people. And yet, what if we go even further? I think each time we give a command, we should see how close can we get to perfection? Right? How close can we get to holiness? Shouldn't that be our goal? To be as close to God as we can be. And so, okay, let's go. What's the next step from slander? Slander is being like, I know that Ed's a great guy, but I'm upset with Ed, so I'd be like, did you know about Ed? And I say something that's totally untrue about Ed, so people are like, what? Okay? But what about gossip? Now, gossip is something we feel like we're allowed to do. Everyone knows that. We always say we wouldn't gossip, but we all do it. I know I do it. I'm not proud of myself for doing it, but let's just be real. If I said I didn't, I would be a hypocrite. We do it sometimes. Sometimes we share stories that are unconfirmed. So I looked up the definition of gossip this week. Gossip defined is spreading unconfirmed reports about somebody else in order to make them look bad or tear them down. It seems simple. Spreading unconfirmed reports. Did you hear? Remember how we started off? Did you hear? Did you hear? But we were saying awesome things about people. But what about the did you hear? Did you hear so-and-so just split up with her wife? Did you hear this and this and this and this? Did you hear this? Did you hear? That guy got like a $500 ticket because he was drinking and driving, or whatever it is. We love to share stories. And even if we don't know they're 100% true, we love to share them. I'm going to give you an example of this. I know a guy who's down on his luck, and he lives in his van. Okay, so I have a friend who lives in his van, and he's got nowhere to go, but he lives in his van. He's got a great big dog. That's a scary dog. You don't want to go close to him. He might eat your face. And so he's this guy with a dog, and he lives in his van. And so most of us, we'd say, well, if I'm going to live in my van, I'm going to park in the bush or somewhere so nobody sees me. But most of us haven't had to live in our van before. And most of us know the culture of today and that you got to be careful where you park. But this guy he made some off decisions. And he said, no, I'm going to park where I can use a bathroom. I'm going to park near a gas station because I can use a bathroom there. Or I'm going to park near a grocery store because I can get food there. Or I'm going to park by a restaurant. And of course, I'm going to park somewhere that's more public so I'm not disturbing people. I'm going to park near a park because there's bathrooms there. And so what happened was, were these good decisions? No, they weren't. But somebody decided that they had a half-truth that they wanted to share with the world. And so they went on Facebook. And instead of approaching the van and saying, excuse me, sir, we'd prefer if you not park near our park. Excuse me, sir, what are you doing here? Or excuse me, sir, this. And actually having a conversation like a real live human being, what we do is we go on Facebook and we gossip. We give half-truths on Facebook. And you know what? In one day, within 24 hours, this was shared 1,500 times about a pedophile that was luring children into his van with his dog. Now, if you've seen this guy's dog, and you maybe don't know who I'm talking about, if you've seen this guy's dog, you know he will eat your face off, okay? So there's nobody being lured into the van by this dog, okay? And so 1,500 people, I did some math this morning. I said to 1,500 people, if each of them had 30 unique friends to themselves, that means 45,000 people within 24 hours heard about this pedophile in a van creeping on kids. In 24 hours. 45,000. I think that's being actually conservative on my numbers here. 45,000 people heard this. So this guy's going, oh my word, what do I do? He goes to a community. He's like, I got to get out of this community, go to the next community. Well, 45,000 people, that's a lot of people, isn't it? Stops his vehicle. Two guys come up and beat him bloody. Beat this guy bloody. This guy's had multiple heart attacks. This guy's got bad health. And here he is, beaten bloody. Gets in his van. He takes off. Of course, what happens when he takes off running for his life? He gets a ticket. He's got no money. He's living in his van. He's got a ticket. He's beaten to within an inch of a life, you know. This is bad news. This is bad news. And all because somebody thought they were doing the right thing. They thought they were doing the right thing. They were telling the truth. But what they were really doing was they were gossiping. And every one of us, and I almost shared the post, so I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. I was like, oh my word, there's a pedophile. Let's share this with the world. Oh my word, turns out it wasn't that. And so we all are guilty, or maybe not all guilty, but it's very easy for all of us to accidentally get pulled into that. As a matter of fact, much more personally to me, I have somebody who's very, very, very close to me who would never hurt a single person in the world. Never hurt a single person in the world. Do you know what? Somebody falsely charged them with assault. Just went to the police and said, that person assaulted me. And this person would never hurt a fly, okay? I know this person's been beat up by somebody before who was like a child simply because they were worried about defending themselves, okay? Got beaten. Okay, so here's this person, they get lied about for assault and kidnap. Assault and kidnap. And somebody makes a Facebook page and says, you know, oh my word, this person has kidnapped somebody. And this goes all over the place. And this person, the person that I know actually had to file a suit. Spent thousands and thousands of dollars simply to get that Facebook post removed because it was shared so many times about them being an abuser and a kidnapper. And it wasn't true. And all these people who were thinking they were doing the right thing were destroying a life. They were destroying life. They were attacking life. And we don't realize what we're doing. We don't realize the power of our words to bring death or to bring life. And we are responsible for everything that we say, everything that we do, and we are even responsible for the things that we share, whether we believe them to be true or not. Whether that be a rumor that you heard, whether it be a post that you saw, when we open our mouths and we declare something to be true, we are owning it. And so this morning, my challenge for you is, what do you want to own? What do you want to own in this world? Do you want to own destruction or do you want to own life? I love this morning. I love what we did with the kids this morning. Did you know? Did you hear how awesome Ed Schrader is? Did you know that this guy goes on Tuesdays and he feeds the hungry in Winnipeg? He just goes there and he feeds the hungry and he says, hey, do you know that Jesus loves you? You know what? Who wants to own that? Who wants to be known? I'm just going to give away candy because I don't want to sit here too long. Who wants to own that? Who wants that to be your legacy? You know, when I die, we've had a lot of people who are sick in our church lately. I've been going to a lot of hospital visits. And the thing that I realize is that every one of us has something to leave behind when we die. We leave a legacy. And the largest part of your legacy, the largest part of what you have to leave behind is what you have spoken into the lives of other people. Because and I read a post this morning that said, what you say can be forgiven, but it'll never be forgotten. What you say can be forgiven, but it will never be forgotten. No matter how hard I try. You know, we tell people, I'm just going to forgive you. I'm just going to forget that ever happened. Have you ever forgotten that ever happened? Like, you don't hold it against them maybe, but have you ever actually forgotten that person who said you were stupid? Have you ever forgotten that comment? Have you ever forgotten the person who said you were ugly, that you never amount to anything? You've never forgotten that. You might have forgiven, but that hurts. That hurts for a long, long time. But instead, we can speak life and we can speak love. You know, also, often with gossip we say, but we know it's true. I have people who I know, they say they're very offensive people, and you're saying, like, you know, that's offensive. Yeah, well, it's true. Like, we're allowed to be offensive because we're honest. But you know what? You ever hear that saying, if you got nothing good to say? Say nothing at all, okay? When you speak the truth, we're allowed to speak the truth, but we should be speaking the truth in love. Here, I'm going to read another verse for you this morning. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 15. Instead, speaking the truth in love, we will grow to become in every respect the mature body of Him who is the head, that is Christ. Speak the truth. We are allowed to speak the truth. We are allowed to declare from the rooftops what is true. But what we have to do is we always have to ask ourselves, it might be true, but am I saying it out of love? Am I saying it out of love? So I'm going to give you a couple examples this morning, okay? So it's okay. Let's say there's somebody who's a heavy abuser of children comes to your community. I'm not saying you can't tell your neighbor there's an abuser living next door. Why? Because you're saying it in love. You're saying it to protect, to guard, to look after somebody. But if you hear a rumor that somebody did something sometime and you go around and tell the whole world, are you saying it out of love? Is there a purpose for what you are saying? So I'm not saying you can't speak the truth sometimes when it's negative. I'm not saying the only thing that comes out of your mouth is rainbows and sunshine. What I'm saying is when we speak, we need to ask ourselves, where is my heart at? What are my motives? Like I said, I do a lot of hospital visits. And I know that when hospital visits are done, people want to know the details. You ever know that? Anybody who does a lot of hospital visits knows this to be true. You come out of they want to know exactly what the diagnosis is. They want to know how sick. They want to know this. And you're going, how does this matter? Does this change how you pray? Does this change that? Sometimes people just want to know because they love to have all the details. Right? Maybe that shouldn't be our goal. Maybe our goal should always be to love. Are we doing everything to love? I said, some people speak bad about others and defend themselves by saying it's true. That is great, but the second question should also be, what does this have to do with love? What is the goal with what you are saying? Before you open your mouth, ask yourself, what's my goal? Why would I say this? I did this last week. I did it wrong, but what I'm trying to say here, I don't want anybody to think that I'm picking on you, so I pick on myself. This last week, during the fair days, I talked too much, okay? I just did it. I just talked too much. And I talked to a couple different people. And some of the people, I told the same story to like 5 different people, okay? It's a true story. I'm not going to tell it to you because that would be against what I'm preaching right now. But I had this story. And to 4 of them, I was protecting them. There was a story about somebody who could hurt somebody. And so I was telling this story. Just be careful, this person might hurt this. But I went to somebody else, and I was mad. And when I shared that story, I actually sinned because I no longer cared about love. I shared the same story with 5 people. 4 of them, I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was protecting them. The 5th one, I was just being vindictive. I was just being vindictive. I was failing. I let my emotions get the better of me, and 4 times I shared a story to protect people. The 5th time I stored just to dig one into the person. And we need to check our hearts before we open our mouths. We need to check our minds before we open our mouths. Why am I doing it? You know, we should stand apart. I believe that as a church, and I believe we do. I don't want to criticize. I believe as a church we already stand apart, but I want to encourage us to stand apart some more. You see, I believe as a church we should be known not as people who tear others down, but people who lift others up. I believe that when we meet other people, they should say, man, I know that I want to go to that guy's church because whenever I see him, he is saying something awesome about somebody. Well, you know, last time I was visiting with Ed, he was saying, man, did you hear about Susie, who decided to send a container to Africa to help people who are in need, help people who are hurting. Wow, that guy, I wonder if everybody in their church speaks so much life and so much life. I believe that as a church, we are to be light, we are to be love, and we are to stand apart, head and shoulders. And we know that sometimes in some places we don't have that reputation. And I think our goal should always be everywhere we go to have the reputation that we are not slanderers and we are not gossips, but we are the givers of life. And I am so excited to be able to say that I believe this church is like that. But I want to challenge you. Do you think you are like that? So this morning I got a quick challenge for you. Steps to stopping gossip and slander. Number 1, when you hear a story, keep it to yourself. Before you share it, ask the question, is this true? Is this true? You would be amazed how easy it is to figure out if something's true. This is not a gossip thing, so I'm going to use this as an example. I was looking online the other day. It said Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was dead. I said, oh my word, I need to share this with the world because he's the greatest actor of all times. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I got to get the word out, okay? Wait a minute. I just Googled it. Turns out he's not. Do you see how that works? I do that with a lot of things, you know, or I go to the source material, you know. I read this thing the other day that said if you fill your gas tank up when it's too hot, your car's going to explode, okay? It was put up by a police station. I was like, oh my word, I better share this. I don't want people to die because their cars are all exploding. So let me just see where this is coming from. Turns out it's from like Saudi Arabia somewhere, and the site has actually got a whole bunch of spoof. It's got a whole bunch of spoof things about a whole bunch of weird crimes. It's kind of like a weird website that just spouts lies. And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to share this one. Not that your car can't blow up. I'm not a mechanic. Maybe your car can blow up. I'm not talking about blowing up cars this morning. But I'm saying it's pretty easy to get to the source if we just look. Do you know somebody? Let's take an example of the guy who was accused of luring children. Do you know how quickly it would have been to get to the source of that? Excuse me, sir. Can I ask you what you're doing here? Boom! Problem solved. When the dog almost eats your face off, you're like, okay, so I already know that's not true. I already know that dog's not luring anybody into this van. You know, you barely knock on the door and you're almost dead. And you're like, okay, so that lie's out of the way. Can I ask you to move? Take down a license plate, give it to the police. Problem solved. Amazing. It is pretty easy to solve problems. You hear that somebody's pregnant, you know what you do? Don't tell everybody about it. Did you hear they were pregnant? Be like, go up to them and be, hey, heard you're pregnant. Congratulations. They'd be like, I'm not pregnant. Be like, my bad. Problem solved. But it'd be better for you to say, oh, my bad, than 1,500 people to be like, oop, our bad. Everywhere they walk, they're like, oop, our bad. Turns out you're not. Okay. So you see how that works? You might have to endure a little bit of awkwardness. It might not be comfortable. But guess what? I'd be far happier if one person came and said, Rick, is this true? I was told one time that I kicked somebody out of church, told them to stop coming up on life. And it was a big deal. It was a huge issue. People were hearing about it. People were sharing it. Somebody finally came up to me and said, how dare you kick them out of church? I'm like, sorry, what? That never happened. Oh. So we called the guy up. Hey, you want to have coffee? Why don't we all sit down together? Usually when somebody's sharing something about somebody else, if you call the other party into the room, the story is always way better, okay? Turns out I didn't say what I said. Turns out the story was totally different. I'm not going to put a person on the spot, but Heather's had to deal with that too. Somebody came to her and said, this staff member said this and this and this and this and this and this to me. And Heather's like, okay. So can you repeat what all? And turns out none of it was true. They saw the look in their eyes, and they assumed that meant I hate you, and I don't want to be hanging around you anymore. And so this person kind of wanted somebody let go, and it never happened, right? Like it just didn't happen. And so we can verify the facts. Is it true? Number 2, if it's true, before you share it, ask the question, what does it help? What is the reason for me to share it? Is this going to benefit anybody but myself? Is this going to benefit anybody? Because sometimes when you share something, it benefits people. There's somebody luring children into a van. If it was true, you would want everybody to know about it, okay? You'd be like, okay, the police have said we need to watch out for this person. Go to the Winnipeg Police or RCMP. Yep, the RCMP have said watch out for this person. I'm going to share that because I'm going to protect the children of my community, okay? Why am I sharing it? But if you're just sharing it to get for kicks, you know it's true, but you just want to rub it in, don't share it. It's not worth sharing. What's the reason? What's the purpose? What's the heart behind sharing it? This might be a bit of a longer message just because I'm preaching to myself. I got some convictions here. So if it's true, before you share it, ask the question, what are my motives? If your motives are not to help, honor, protect others, then maybe you should just say nothing at all. If you got nothing good to say nothing at all. Number 3, don't listen to gossip. If somebody complains about another person or speaks bad about another person outside of helping, honoring, protecting, then make sure you stop the conversation and challenge them to go speak to the person directly. And if they say, well, I have, be like, well, maybe you guys need a mediator. Because people lie. I didn't know if you knew that. Sometimes people lie. We talked about that earlier. People lie. They say, I talked to them. And you're like, you didn't really talk to them. You might have talked at them. And so you sit down with the person, you realize, oh, my word, this is not what happened. I'll tell you what, as a pastor, the amount of times I sit down with people who are upset at each other for something that's not true is bizarre. And you're like, well, is that what you said? Well, that's not what I said. Oh, really? I'm so sorry. I already told 100 people, and no. So these two people, they make up. They're having a great time. They're going to movies again. But everywhere this other person goes, they're getting like glares, and because you can make up with the person who hurt you. But the other 100 people, they've already adopted your problem. And now they all got to do the same thing. It really takes a lot of time if we don't just watch what we have to say. So don't listen to gossip. Shut it down. But here's something better. Kind of seems a little bit negative. Gossip, slander, lying. But here's the beauty of it. We can be something different. We can be something more, and we can be something better. Do you know the best way to fight gossip? I'm going to give out some more chocolate. Best way to fight gossip is to say, hey, did you hear that Adam and Shar just did a canoe trip for our senior youth kids, and they had an awesome, awesome time. Right? Yeah, it's an awesome time. Thank you, guys. I didn't see Shar. Oh, she's at the back. I'm going to hit somebody on the way, so we're going to leave that one. Did you hear? Did you hear? Did you know? Do you know how hard Joanne works in the office every single week? She doesn't just, everyone else says she's an office administrator. You know what? She's basically an office administrator, a maintenance organizer, a children's pastor. She's basically everything, okay? Because Joanne works her butt off, okay? Joanne works her butt off. Did you know that? Did you know how awesome Lauren and Wanda are? You guys might not know this. Did you know that Lauren and Wanda are in training right now? Did you know that? Probably most of you didn't know. You thought we just hired Lauren and Wanda. Did you know they're in training? You know, we're set up to be like, I'm here to disciple them. And it is so incredible working alongside and training in the Bible and in ministry, Lauren and Wanda. They have a heart to learn. I am so blessed to work with Lauren and Wanda. Nice. See, the best way to fight gossip is to fight it. You know, we like to fight gossip by just like shielding ourselves from gossip. There's two ways to go to battle, okay? So the first one, people say, well, your pastor's talking about don't gossip. That's like shield yourself from gossip, okay? That's not fighting gossip, that's just stopping gossip. We don't just want to stop gossip in our church. You know what we want to do? We want to beat gossip right up. And the best way to beat gossip up is to say, did you hear? And to say something awesome about somebody everywhere you go. Or when somebody tears somebody down, they say, did you hear what Rose did? And be like, really? Tell you what I've seen of Rose. Do you like chocolate? Do you eat chocolate? Coffee Crisp or Arrow? You can have that. Do you know how awesome it was when I was trying to get back from Africa? We were trying to buy a house. And she went and did a video of the house so we could watch it while we were in Africa. Like, I'll tell you what, so if somebody comes to you and says, did you hear something about Rose? My first response is, well, I don't know about you, but this is what I think makes Rose awesome. That's fighting gossip. Fighting gossip isn't just stopping, it's destroying it. It's going around everywhere we go and say, did you hear? Did you hear how awesome? Did you hear how great? Did you hear how incredible somebody is? And so this morning, I have a challenge for us. And we're going to invite the worship team up because I've gotten carried away. Worship team, come to the front. Here's what we're going to do this morning. We're going to be a church that honors the greatest two commands. The greatest two commands in the whole Bible. They asked Jesus, what's the most important command in the whole Bible? Jesus said there's two. You guys are just too ignorant to figure it out. Love God, love people. If you do these, you're going to be pretty awesome. You know what? You're not going to murder people because it's not neighborly. And you're not going to sleep with your neighbor's wife because it's not neighborly. And you're not going to steal from your neighbor because it's not neighborly. It's not loving your neighbor. And so this morning, we're going to love God, and we're going to love our neighbor. So we're going to get to a time where we're going to say, God, thank you. We're going to praise God. We're going to speak life about God. We're going to be thankful to God, but we're also going to spend some time praying with one another. We've been doing this a lot lately. If somebody in this room has encouraged you, if somebody in this room has lifted you up, if somebody in this room that you think is awesome, don't just stand idly by and think that they are awesome. Go tell them that you think they're awesome. Go speak life. Go fight gossip by sharing something incredible about somebody with them. Say, I love you. You are awesome. Can I pray for you this morning? Walk up to somebody and say, you've made such a difference in my life. How can I pray for you? And you know what? They might say thank you so much, but they might also say, I'm going through a tough time right now. And you're going to have an opportunity to be awesome to them. So this morning, we're going to invite the praise team. We're going to invite the prayer people to the front. If you've got any need this morning, we believe that God answers all of our needs. So if you've got a need this morning, if you're sick, if you're hurting, if you're lonely, if you've got anxiety, if you've got pain, depression, come to the front and pray with somebody. But if you don't have anything to come to the front and pray with people, find somebody who you think is awesome for some reason or another and pray with them and pray for them. All right? God, you are so incredible. God, I'm so thankful for this awesome church full of awesome and incredible people. God, I want to just thank you for who you are. I want to thank you for bringing healing. I want to thank you for promising to give us love and joy and peace, God. And I want to thank you for how awesome you are. And so this morning, as we call out to you, as we say, God, we need you today, help us to also be reminded that there are people here who don't feel awesome. There are people here who feel useless, who feel second-rate, who feel like they're not loved. Help us to be loved to them. Help us to be your mouthpiece as we do not gossip, as we do not slander, but as we bring life,